clearly?
Yes, sir, absolutely.
Okay, wonderful.
If you could shift a little to your left, like
shift this way?
Yeah, now it's okay. Yeah.
Okay, wonderful.
Great, sir. So I think before we start, because we're going to start in the next 1 minute, I believe, I'm going to give you a brief of how we are going to proceed forward with the event. I'll be firstly introducing ManTech Summit 2021, which is basically me giving the description of what this event is all about. And post that, I'm going to introduce the Spasmodic group that is conducting this particular event. And after I'm done with that, I'm going to give a little brief description of your journey, what you've done over the years. And then I'll be handing over the stage to you so that you can give your keynote address for, let's say, 5 to 10 minutes. And then post that, we're going to have interaction session wherein I'm going to ask you certain questions and then you're going to reply. And possibly we're going to carry forward the conversation as long as the time permits. And then we're going to be done with the event with the closing note from your end. And that's pretty much the event.
Sounds good, yeah. Before we start, Vishnu, can I also get the school headgear that you're wearing?
Definitely, sir. It's just for better audio. So
don't worry. I'm kidding. But yeah, all good to go.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much. I think I'd like to ask the Spasmodic group as well to kindly confirm if we are ready with the event. Please update us if we are live on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and all the channels that we are supposed to be live at. Please mention it in the chat box, somebody from the Spasmodic group. And also, I'd like to request the technical team from Lovely Professional University to kindly confirm if we are ready to go live at the Lovely Professional University's platform as well. We're going live in 10 seconds. Amazing, brilliant. All set.
I think Ankit video is gone, right?
Pardon, ma'am. I'm sorry, I couldn't hear
Now
you.
it's okay.
No,
Now it's okay.
I put it off. So is this good?
Yeah.
Yes.
Cool.
I'd like to request Gurdeep sir to kindly give us a thumbs up or a reaction in the chat box so that we can go live. All right, ladies and gentlemen. Hi, my name is Vishnu, and I welcome you all once again to ManTech Summit 2021. We've seen in some of the episodes, we've had some great conversations with leaders from different and diverse fields. And today we are back again with another great personality who's going to share his wisdom, his knowledge, and his story as to what he's done over the years that has led him to be at the place where he is. But before I move on to describe you all about the personality with whom we are going to have the interaction, let me tell you a little bit about ManTech Summit 2021. With the theme Management Meets Technology, ManTech Summit 2021 is touted to be India's largest virtual student entrepreneurship summit, being hosted by the group Spasmodic. Spasmodic is a student organization under the aegis of Division of Student Welfare, Lovely Professional University, and they've been doing some of the most exceptional events from the last couple of years. They have established themselves in the year 2019, and in the year 2020, they have come up with some great events. The entire pandemic did not stop them from conducting events and bringing in corporate leaders to interact with students. I think they deserve a good round of applause. So if you're watching us live right now, you can drop down your claps and reactions in the comment section for the group Spasmodic. And when it comes to ManTech Summit 2021, we've got entrepreneurship stories, startup pitching, brand promotions, panel discussions, cross-country dialogues, and whatnot. Well, that's there, but I think it's now time for us to discuss more about the person with whom we are going to interact today. And this person, ladies and gentlemen, is none other than Mr. Ankit Gupta, CEO, Frontier and Workspace Business, OYO. I think his resume, his profile is so beautiful that, he has worked for almost 16 years in the industry and perhaps more, I believe so. And he's been key in terms of being a digital influencer. And I think that's the reason why he's been featured in your story as well as the top 100 digital influencers in the year 2020. And not just that, he's also member CII Startup Council, member FICCI Real Estate Committee. And he's been leading the hotel brands of OYO in terms of townhouse, homes, life, student housing, workspaces, and more. He's also worked as the ex-partner at McKinsey & Company for almost 14 years and 6 months, and he's an alumnus of IIT Bombay. I think it's our honor to have him here, and I believe that with some of the interaction, we're going to learn a lot And I hand over the stage over to Mr. Ankit Gupta, sir, so that he can address all the students. And then post that, we're going to get back to the interaction session, wherein I'm going to ask some of the good questions. So make sure all the students who are watching us live, please drop down some interesting questions in the Facebook and YouTube platform so that we can ask him and entertain him with our questions. Off to you, Mr. Ankit, sir.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Vishnu, for the warm welcome. Firstly, I'd like to just share the feeling of being extremely delighted to be on this platform, addressing a bunch of you, the young, passionate, excited students of LPU and the other folks. I also wanted to thank Spasmodic for hosting this event and just taking the initiative of doing these kind of series of events, which I think is just a great initiative for the students and for their learning. So overall, very, very excited to be on this platform and share whatever I can. To be honest, the way you kind of introduced me made me a bit uncomfortable. In the end, we're all kind of simple, modest human beings. So I will try my best in sharing whatever I can. But beyond that, just looking forward to a great engagement with everyone. Lastly, as I was thinking about preparing for this and making it relevant for all the students, having been on the other side is what I was reflecting on when I was a student myself. And the one thing I realized is when I sat on the other side as a student and heard many of these kind of speeches or interactions, often I walked away thinking, what was there in that discussion for me to take away, which I can start doing immediately and learn immediately versus some global perspectives and thoughts. So what I'm trying to do today is limit my views and perspectives on how the global industry or India is moving, but make it as individualistic as possible so that each of you can take away some learnings which you can hopefully learn from and apply in your daily lives.
Right, sir. Thank you so much. I think my questions are also going to be pretty individualistic so that the students can also grab some good perspectives so that they can move ahead in their journey as a professional. First of all, I'd like to request all the students to kindly welcome Mr. Ankit sir with a round of applause in the chat box. I'm sure Ankit sir is not able to see the claps, but then he can feel them. I'm pretty sure that the 30,000 students that we have at Lovely Professional University, the numbers are huge, and we would love to have you, physically as well in our campus, addressing the students in our auditorium. All right, then. So I think it's time for us to ask the question. And I think, sir, the first question that I would like to ask you is this: how do you think the students should deal with an unknown crisis like pandemic that has hit us, and what do you think should be their perspective so that they can channelize their energy in a better fashion?
Sure. Before that, maybe let me share a bit of a perspective of my past, because that will help connect the dots very easily for the students to learn from. Interestingly, I was not born with my glasses on. What I mean by that is the way Vishnu you've described me. I had a very different childhood and upbringing compared to what my professional career in the past decade or so has been. I actually had a upbringing of or childhood or studies and so on, which I can call as probably the least inspirational for this group of students. So I was born and brought up in Hyderabad, and my entire student life in school and so on was one I would claim as extremely notorious, very very apt and always towards focusing on having fun, loitering around, playing games, missing classes. I'll kind of not use the slang bunking. But I don't want to kind of convey all the wrong things here. But that's how, for a very large extent of my student life, I was until 11th standard. To the extent that, I mean, in general, my exposure to the 11th till the 11th standard with my friends and so on was so limited, I was not even aware of what IIT was. It's only to the fag end of my 11th I got to know about IIT, and then in my 12th standard I gave a serious attempt to preparing for it, and I mean, I was lucky enough to get through. But yeah, I mean, I can share a few interesting things about my childhood that I have not to claim fame, but I've actually been to jail for during Diwali season, trying to burst crackers on the feet of policemen on the road. I have been attacked by a leopard very close to death in college and so on. So that's just setting the context for
I
about my background.
I think the entire outlook is it's a disguise, because what we see, what we've read digitally is not what you've gone through in
Precisely.
reality.
Yeah. So if
But then,
you
sir,
if you
I think
yeah,
you've
if
done
you go back
except.
far and see and engage with my friend circle, I mean, all from different business families, you'll be probably least as inspired on where I am today. But the reason why I give this background is because I do want to share that there is a turning point in everyone's life, and the turning point can come in later or it can come in earlier in your life or in your career. But there is always a turning point which can help each of us change the way we can start growing. And I do have a few perspectives on that which I'd like to share. But yeah, sorry, Vishnu, you were saying something.
Yes, I was just saying that, but despite what the past has been, you've achieved quite a lot, and I think that itself stands as an inspiration for all the students, because we all have multiple sides, in ourselves. Sometimes we are at the right end, sometimes we are at the wrong end, but it's about understanding what's right and what's wrong, and choosing the wiser path, which you've done, and which is why we are having this conversation, perhaps. So I think the students would be very much excited to know your perspectives as well, and B, they would also like to grab in a lot of knowledge from your end, so that they don't commit the mistakes that you've done, but choose the rights that you've done.
Yes, absolutely. So I think I would like to share in context of learnings, uh, probably in three phases of my of my career, very different kinds of learning, which if I would have got earlier on, I think I would have been even more blessed. But like I said, kind of for me, the first turning point in my career was when I started preparing for IIT, not even entering IIT. And it's very interesting for some of you to know how that happened in my personal life. I actually went to a school called Hyderabad Public School until my 10th. I had a very, very comfortable, like I said, life with friends and loitering around. I After 10th switched colleges, and joined another college called Gautami Junior College. And this college was actually known for being extremely strict. Till my 10th, I mean, yeah, I will accept I was decently intelligent, and therefore my goal in every semester or every year, from a studying point of view, used to come within top 10 of the 35-40 students in my class. The moment I hit
Right.
like a ninth rank or an eighth rank, I partied. But because this college I joined was extremely strict, it created immense fear in me in the first couple of months, out of no reason. That fear instilled a change in behavior for me to study very hard. No reason.
Right.
And because of me studying very hard, it kind of started showing in results. And there it created a virtuous cycle, because I started seeing that in a class, I actually started coming first. It gave me enough motivation to come first even more.
Right.
It fed me into very different behavior of therefore stopping or kind of reducing significantly the way I was as a person, and started kind of investing my time in very different things and learning and so on. So I think there the biggest realization that I came across from that turning point was, there can be nothing else greater than a burning desire within you to create a passion and follow it. unless and until you have a strong personal internal burning desire to achieve something, I don't think that goal will be as meaningfully followed by you, unless otherwise. So I think that was a very important learning. It also helped me, therefore, get into IIT in my first attempt. I joined IIT Bombay, and obviously because of the change in perspectives that I had, my stint in IIT Bombay also had a very different outlook compared to my childhood, because I definitely kind of did kind of study hard. I did invest in also learning a lot more holistically from an all-rounding perspective. I represented my college in debating. I represented my college in playing the flute nationally, and so on and so forth. So I think that kind of holistic all-roundedness and more maturity did come in, but it came in with some sort of learning, and that's where being in IIT helped again mentally more than becoming a good engineer. It actually taught me my second biggest learning, which was to dream big.
Right.
Because within those 4-5 years of I did my dual degree in IIT Bombay, and it was a 5-year course. But within the first 2 to 3 years, as I connected the dots and I created patterns of people who had passed out of my college and had become successful, it created a confidence in me to say, given the same college and so on, there is a possibility, not a guarantee at all, but there is a possibility for someone to also become big. But for that, you need to dream big, right? And that's what I started doing. So also to share with many of you, I've actually taken a fairly set of bold risks in my life, because, for example, when I applied for IIT in my 12th, I actually only applied for the IITs and the Karnataka CET, the entrance exam. I actually did not apply anywhere else, and today, in hindsight, I think it was a bit naive of me to be so narrowed in my choices. But yeah, it was a risk I took. The same risk I took when I was in IIT in my final year, applying for campus placements, because I was very clear and sorted in my head that I'm my entire family is from a business background. So I was very clear I'm not going to pursue any more studies. Engineering was not something that I really cherished, and therefore I applied to a few very select institutes, companies coming to campus, and of that was McKinsey, which was on day zero, slot zero, and I was lucky enough to be amongst the 3 students who, out of a batch of 450, got through. But but I think that clarity of or sharpness of what I wanted to achieve, probably in hindsight, was one learning on just the focus, and therefore the preparation and so on and so forth. But yeah, it does come with its set of risks. So I would just caution many of you against just balancing that well. But going back, I think the bigger point is dreaming big was a very, very important learning for me, because I also, in that context of when I was applying to institutions for a job, I was very clear that I wanted to, at least in the context of being dreaming big, serve companies on the management side, which were generally the largest, and no better place than McKinsey, being the global #1 consulting firm in the world, to kind of do that from. So that was the second learning, and kind of I've been fortunate to have a successful 14 and a half career in McKinsey. Towards the last few years, I think there has been a third learning, which I must say, which is also based on how technology has grown, which is a focus of today's discussion, which I will deep dive into further. But I think innovation was a very core third learning in the past few years, which I actually applied into some of the client service that I was doing, and I realized that there is no better place for me to learn about that innovation by actually kind of taking the plunge and becoming an executive myself and
Right.
using a platform to innovate through technology. And yeah, that's how the past year at OYO has been very, very kind of fulfilling, fully in depth with technology. So we'll share more.
Great, sir. Great, sir. I'd like to tell you that, I'm also from Hyderabad, so I know how Hyderabad Public School and the entire vibe of that place is. And I also know about the colleges that we have out there. I am a product of Narayana Junior College, so I know how, it goes. Uh, but
So,
sir, I
so
think,
Vishnu, you will know that I did my 11th in Gautami. Yeah, you probably have heard of Gautami then.
yes, yes, I have.
I know how strict they are.
Yes.
So in my 12th, I shifted to Narayana Junior College because I went to Krishnamurti for my coaching, which
Okay.
used to start at 5 a.m. in the morning. It was
Yes.
45 minutes away from my home. So I used to get up at 3:45 every day.
Right. So you were fortunate enough, to at least go through the entire process. But I think after a point of time, after I think 3 4 years, it all became a bit of commercialization, and I don't even want to go there and discuss, what has happened to the entire sector. But then I think the journey itself is quite inspiring because it shows that how strictness and how discipline instills a lot of different perspectives in your headspace as well. And that is why we at LPU also promote the tagline of thinking big. If you see our ads and commercials as well, we promote this idea so that students can think big. And I think that's where I also come in as a student of lovely professional university. And I proudly say that we've been taught this theory of thinking big, dreaming big, and achieving big. So that is one thing in common that we can see, at least in our
Wonderful.
thought process. And so now coming to the theme of the event, this particular event as well, I think Spasmodic Group would want me to iterate more on the topic that is reimagining hospitality business in adversities. Now, you look like a man who converts adversities into opportunities. So I'm pretty sure you must have already done your bit of research work while the pandemic was going on as to how to predict, how to take OYO further in the coming years as well. Because now the normal is not the normal that we used to have, but we have a new normal. And of course, there are a lot of changes that we're going to have to see. So what is your advice to the students for pursuing hospitality as a degree? What do you think, the opportunities that they have, and what are the things that they should focus upon so that more and more industries can absorb them?
Yeah, sure. Um, Let me broaden the horizon by not talking about hospitality, but talking about adversity and leveraging technology in the context of adversity. I think it may be more relevant.
Right.
Um, See, first of all, let's become clear on what adversity is. Right? Adversity is either a glass half full or a glass half empty. The
Yeah.
glass half empty is something that we always usually talk about, that this is a bad time and there's very difficult recovery happening and there's slow growth and what will happen to our jobs and career and so on and so forth. I'd like to see the glass half full, where I say
Right.
that this is an opportunity which everyone is at the beginning on a level playing field, and you have an opportunity to differentiate yourselves by identifying and understanding deep pain points
Right.
which are large enough in the industry, which you can solve and therefore come out stronger, emerge stronger than the other. And if that is a perspective that you take, a plethora of opportunities open up. Right?
Right.
It's easier said than done, by the way. I will also explain that. It's much, much easier said than done. But I'll give you an example of, personally, even when I was we were going through the initial phase of the lockdown, um, this was a period of March, April, May. I had joined OYO about 3 months back. So to be honest, I was just even going through my apprenticeship of being a senior executive coming out of consulting of 15 years. And during that period, it was obviously difficult because this is something the hospitality industry was terribly affected by.
Right.
The entire global economy was terribly affected by in its early phases. but its impact was pretty deep on hospitality because given the effect of the COVID from touch, from people moving around, and that's what the hospitality industry is all about. So we had a pretty horrid time. What we used as that downtime is to reflect and think what can we do to create an experience for our customers and for our partners, which by the way using technology, and there was a very very deep passion to use that because we wanted to minimize any physical touch points and effects which were creating discomfort for our customers and for our partners. And that actually started the journey for us to innovate.
Right.
And I'm going back to the three learnings I reflected earlier on. Right, the first one is following a passion, the second one is dreaming big, and the third one is innovating.
Innovation.
Because that template has really helped me think about what are the kind of opportunities that we can solve. So, for example, during the downtime, we took the mindset that, or let me give you a parallel. Right, uh, when the storm kind of hits the sea, the
Yeah.
fishermen don't come back and sit. They repair their nets. They repair the
Right.
net. Right, when the storm goes away, they can go back even stronger. We started doing that in kind of April, May, June, July. We started investing deeply into technology in use cases which we believe that the industry will reward us for because they will find it valuable. Some of the use
Right.
cases that we implemented, for example, on the customer side, we created a Yo Help uh, a chat assistant for our customers, which for any customer who creates a booking with OYO, that's a 24/7 chat assistant which you can use to resolve any queries, understand any kind of basic questions you have, etc., etc., making your interaction
FAQs.
seamless versus the traditional pick up a phone, dial a number, get in contact with a contact center. There's a music playing in the background for 90 seconds while you wait, and so on and so forth. Right. So that's one example. The second thing that we did is within the app, we created a in-stay engagement for the customer, which is when you are in the room, again, rather than the traditional way of picking up the phone, dialing the reception, or kind of creating any other sort of calling the person who's attending to you, we created a in-app in-stay engagement tool where you could, within your stay, if you had any request or if you had any queries, you can engage with the property live. Right? So that's the second. The third is we, from booking and till post checkout, we've made the entire journey far more seamless through technology. So we've at least attempted to make the entire hospitality as a consumer segment play. And this is again, when I say dream big, this is, we didn't do this for the few select kind of 5-star or 4-star hotels because that's at the top of the pyramid. But for the middle and the bottom middle layer of the pyramid, for the kind of scale, is where we attempted to revolutionize the entire industry and help the industry. Similarly, if you think
Right.
about our hotel part, we've kind of doubled down on the backend app that we help them with, where we help them with pricing analytics to get better occupancy and better demand. We've helped them with improving more transparency in their engagement with us. We give them suggestions on their app on, here are the 3 things in your property based on our learnings you can do for better customer
Mhm.
experience. Yeah. So we've invested
Right.
massively in in use cases, and yeah, looks like the industry is benefiting from that.
Absolutely, sir. But I have a question. I mean, counter question to this as well. Now that we are going, or we are investing a lot in technology, somewhere down the line we are increasing the dependency on the technology as well, and to create an experience using technology is not an easy task. It's indeed a herculean task to sort of give the kind of the experience that we used to have in normal days in terms of hospitality. How do you invest your thoughts in using technology in an ethical fashion, so that the experience is also not killed.
Yeah. Sorry, just 1 second. Yeah, just 1 second.
In the meantime, I'd like to request all our students who are watching us live right now, kindly, drop in your comments in the comment section. I think you already can see we are having an interesting conversation with the CEO of Frontier and Workspaces at OYO, Mr. Ankit Gupta, sir. And yeah, he's back.
Yeah. So Vishnu, I think there is no overnight success, as we all put it, right? Any overnight success, as we call it, takes at least 10 years.
Right.
So I think in answering your question, this is I would be very, very careful in declaring victory in what we have done, and say that this is kind of still early green shoots in terms of what we are attempting to do. There is a huge kind of opportunity ahead of us, which we still need to crack. We also need to make sure that this gets adopted in a manner where it is widely used, widely tested, feedback kind of obtained, and so on. So, so I would be careful of positioning this as something that has already been achieved. I mean, just take a parallel of Amazon. Amazon launched in, I think, 94 or 96, and it's in 2020, 2021. This 25 years later is where we are using the Amazon app so widely, but it's taken them 20-25 years to get there. So that's the kind of time with which
Agreed.
technology also gets embedded.
Right, sir. I agree. I think that's a valid point, and I think this is where persistence also comes. So, persistence, patience is also required. So, I think the students can take that sort of perspective as well from this particular insight that you've mentioned. And now, sir, coming to the question of startups, because entrepreneurship is one thing that students are fascinated about right now. Currently, this generation, they all want to establish their business. Most of us want to be Atmanirbhar, and we want to have our own sort of companies, and we want to be the founders, CEOs, and CFOs. But one thing that you would like to share to all the students who have this vision of building their own brand or company, what do you think are the key essential factors that they should follow so that they can establish themselves and their company in a better space?
Sure. One thing I want to just also make sure that people get this perspective with the right mindset. There is no substitute for hard work. While we may all claim many elements of success, but remember, 2% inspiration, 98% perspiration. So the mindset that people, whoever is kind of embarking on the path of becoming an entrepreneur, needs to keep that in mind. Also, the swing factor on risk is very, very high. While the upside is extremely glamorous, and it kind of feels very rosy to kind of talk about the monetary outcome and the wisdom and so on, and the fame, the downside is equally as down below as it can get. So please tread with caution. Having said that, I am personally a huge fan of budding entrepreneurs in this country, because I think this country has immense opportunity at scale, given the size of the population, given the kind of problems we have in every sector that can be solved for. In terms of my advice, I actually want to kind of stick to the biggest advice I gave a minute back on kind of just being persistent and focusing on hard work, because with this template, at least that I have seen play out in my journey around making sure that you are following a deep passion that you believe in, making sure that you are in the context of that passion, not solving a small problem, but making it kind of dreaming big and solving a real large problem, and then innovating. But in all of these, just kind of keep that template of working hard, because and that then manifests itself into multiple things, right? It manifests itself into your individual operating model on a day-to-day basis. It manifests itself into how you engage with the outside world. For example, I mean, I even today I'm a ardent believer of sleeping early, getting up early. My typical pattern is I get up around 5:30, 6 a.m. every day, and uh, I would kind of just there are these micro habits that you can. There are many books on this as well. People who can. I read a lot, by the way.
Yeah.
I would advise many of you to kind of get reading already if you don't. Uh, Being connected with a larger network, not because of networking, but because of the power of the learning that you can get beyond your own horizon of thinking and creativity.
True.
Whenever and this is a model that I follow myself, whenever I'm thinking about a problem and I need creative solutions, I actually call 10 people in my network and talk to them generally, not very specifically to the problem, and that actually opens up my horizon massively.
Right.
Ment, by the way, I think for all of us, including me in my career, I'm a deep fan of having a few mentors who can guide you and give you the right path of direction. I have a few mentors even today who I constantly keep reaching out to. Very important for all of you to kind of keep that in mind. So
Right,
these
sir.
are,
I think
but yeah.
absolutely, sir. I think these are some valid points, and you talked about how you like reading books. I must tell you that I'm also an ardent fan of reading a lot of books. One or two books that you'd like to recommend to all of us that you think we should read.
Uh, well, let me think. So I read a lot of biographies. I don't read so much autobiographies because I think autobiographies are a lot more self praise. I read a lot of behavioral psychology, particularly behavioral economics. I read a lot on startups, a lot on startups and fast scaling growth and so on. So let me maybe recommend one from each of these. On biographies, I don't know if you guys have read Steve Jobs by Walter Isaacson. That's one of my
I've
favorites.
seen I've seen the movie, not the did not read the book though.
Yeah, do read the book because and in fact, Walter Isaacson is a great author. He's
Right.
written this where he's created a very balanced and partly negative, in fact, image on Steve Jobs, the extreme kind of artist and
Okay.
designer, but also kind of painted by his inability to kind of lead a large organization and be a people person.
Right.
On behavioral psychology or behavioral economics, maybe nudge. It's
Okay.
a by Richard Thaler.
Okay.
Richard Thaler again is a fantastic author, very deep in this subject. So that's one book which all of you will also relate to, I can say. On startups, there are actually quite a few, but Blitzscaling. Blitzscaling is one book by Reid Hoffman. Reid Hoffman was the
Yeah.
co-founder of LinkedIn.
Yes.
I would agree with many of the things written there, which is the reason why I recommend it, because I actually disagree with a few principles there. So,
Right, sir. I think these are some of the valuable recommendations, and I definitely highly recommend the students to maybe get some time to read these books. And so now coming back to some more questions. Uh, the question is about competition. You definitely belong to an organization that is in a way the reference point for a lot of other companies as well, wherein they would want to be they would want to do some things that you do. They would want to replicate certain sort of innovations that you've brought in into the industry. Now, when this competition comes in, and then somebody else executes a certain thing better, or you see that they are probably more innovative than the creators. How do you tackle as a company and as a leader at that particular point of time, and what would be your message to the students as well to see their competition in their probably in their classroom or in their life in general?
sure. Um, so first of all, I'll demystify the view that we are a reference point in our industry, because we also face immense competition on a day-to-day basis, and we frankly are a very small market share of the overall industry. Um, in terms of, and this is a very personal take on how to treat competition. There is this framing called infinite potential, which I would urge all of you students to go and read upon. Infinite potential is a theory where you are competing continuously with yourself rather than competing with competition. It's a very, very important mindset shift.
Okay.
And in that context, what you need to become clear about is the core purpose or um, kind of deep philosophy of what you are trying to achieve, with obviously a set of values in place.
Right.
But till the time you are clear about the purpose and the values you are driving, you are your own competition.
Right.
Take Apple for all you take, or take even Usain Bolt. Usain Bolt's competition has been or was himself, right? Creating and beating his own world records. Competition is a very great reference point to learn from, because there is always somebody out there who is also innovating, and it is a little bit like what I mentioned 5 minutes back around reaching out to multiple people in your network to learn from. So,
Right.
so I think it's fantastic always to have competition, because what that does is it gives you new ideas to keep reflecting on what you are doing is genuinely path breaking or not, or can you do anything differently. But I would rate the value of competition to that.
Right.
But I would strongly urge people to take this philosophy of infinite potential within you as something to embrace.
Love that, sir. I think that is truly going to help the students in terms of believing in themselves and instilling more confidence as well. Because I believe, I'm not a firm believer, but then I still do agree to the fact that in the law of attraction, that if you think about a certain thing positively, you can reach up to it, or maybe even achieve it. So if we believe in our potential, the limit, as you say, is infinite. And I guess that we have now come to the business end of this particular event. And while I would admire and I would go on to have conversation at length with you, but as we are restricted by the time, I think we would want to end this session with some feedback from your end. I would like to request you to kindly give some words of yours to the group Spasmodic, who has conducted this event. What is your message to them?
Yeah. No, I think no feedback. Yeah, it's all positive feedback. Um, uh, I would just like to congratulate Spasmodic for the amazing work they're doing, and for creating this sort of a forum for all the students to learn from. Like I've shared, I was very open in sharing my upbringing in the beginning, and the reason for doing that was to make sure that everybody realizes the kind of potential you have at a turning point, which all of you can shape anytime you want. Um, One reference, and at least my team in OYO knows this about me, that there is one sort of ardent principle I live by, which is uh, you don't want to be the best, you want to be legendary.
Right.
That's the mindset that I'd like everybody to take here, and I think that's what Spasmodic is trying to do as well.
Brilliance, a brilliance. I totally admire the words that has come out of your mouth, and the kind of knowledge that you shared out here. Everything has been wonderful. We hope that you also achieve more and more in the coming years, and perhaps we can see you in more and more events at Lovely Professional University as well. Hope you will come, and hope you will share some more of your knowledge with us at Lovely Professional University's Shanti Devi Mittal Auditorium. Till then, thank you so much, sir, once again, for being a part of ManTech Summit 2021, and we would like to wish you the best And with that, I'd like to thank the entire management for giving us this opportunity to conduct this event. I'd like to thank the technical team as well for making sure that there were no flaws. And also to the entire team of Spasmodic once again for making sure that this event could happen by connecting us with the CEO of Frontier and Workspaces at OYO, Mr. Ankit Gupta. Thank you, everybody. This is Vishnu signing off. Probably would come back again with some another exciting event at ManTech Summit 2021. Have a good day, everybody.